I planned his perfect Christmas, then realized I was never part of it. I was 23 when I met Daniel, which means I was still young enough to mistake attention for love and exhaustion for maturity. I was working 2 jobs then. Mornings at a bakery where I shaped dough with hands that never stopped aching, and evenings cleaning offices downtown. My apartment was a studio with a window that faced a brick wall, but the rent was manageable, barely, and it was mine. Daniel was a customer at the bakery. He came in every Thursday, ordered the same coffee and croissant, and always left a generous tip. He had an easy smile and wore tailored shirts even on casual days. He worked in finance or consulting, or something that required him to say words like leverage and synergy with a straight face. I never really understood what he did, only that it paid well enough for him to own a downtown condo and take long weekends in places I'd only seen in travel magazines at the dentist's office. He asked me out after 6 weeks of Thursdays. I said yes because he seemed kind, because he looked at me like I mattered, because I was tired of coming home to silence and leftover bread. For 8 months, I loved him in the way you love someone when you're afraid of being alone. He would pick me up after my evening shift sometimes, and we'd drive to his place where everything was clean and expensive and smelled like cedar. He never came to my apartment. At first, I thought it was because he was being considerate, saving me the embarrassment of my cramped space, my second-hand furniture, my life that fit into 400 square feet. Later, I understood it differently. It was October when he first mentioned Christmas. We were lying in his bed, and he was scrolling through his phone while I traced patterns on his chest, trying to memorize the moment because even then, some part of me knew these moments were numbered. "My family does this big thing every year," he said, not looking up. "Christmas Eve dinner. Very traditional, very them. My mom's already asking if I'm bringing anyone." My heart jumped. "Are you?" He glanced at me, and something flickered in his eyes. Something I didn't have the language for yet. "We'll see. It's complicated." I let it go. I was good at letting things go. November arrived with early snow and shorter days. I picked up extra shifts to save for Christmas gifts. Something nice for Daniel, small things for my coworkers, a donation to the shelter where I'd spent 2 winters as a teenager after my mother died and my father decided parenting was optional. Daniel talked about Christmas more as the weeks passed. His mother was particular about decorations. His sister was flying in from Boston. His father expected everyone in formal attire. He talked about the menu, the timeline, the guest list of cousins and family friends and his parents' business associates. And then one night, as I was helping him pick out a cashmere scarf for his brother, he said it. "I need to tell you something." His voice was careful, rehearsed. "I'm bringing someone to Christmas." I remember the way my hands went cold, then hot, then numb. "What?" "Chelsea. From work. I've mentioned her." He had. Once. Maybe twice. "Colleague. Someone his parents knew, someone from a good family. Whatever that meant. But we're..." I couldn't finish the sentence because I suddenly wasn't sure what we were. "We're having fun," he said, and his tone was gentle in a way that made me want to break something. "You knew this wasn't serious. I mean, you're great, but I have to think about my future. My family has expectations." The words that followed were white noise. Something about different worlds, different life paths, how he cared about me but couldn't see a future, how I deserved someone who could give me what I needed. All the things people say when they mean, "You were never enough." Left. I didn't cry in front of him, which felt like the only dignity I had left. I cried on the bus, silent tears that I wiped away before anyone could notice, and then again in my apartment, loud and ugly and alone. But here's what you need to understand. I didn't fall apart. I couldn't afford to. The bakery needed me at 4 a.m. The office building needed me at 6 p.m. My rent was due in 12 days. Heartbreak is a luxury for people who have the time and space to process it. I had neither. So I worked. I showed up. I shaped dough and scrubbed floors and smiled at customers and told my coworkers I was fine when they asked why I looked tired. I moved through December like a ghost, watching the city dress itself in lights and joy while I felt scraped hollow. And then 1 week before Christmas I saw the post. I had deleted his number, blocked him on most things, but Instagram's algorithm has a cruel sense of humor. His mother's account appeared in my suggested follows, probably because I'd liked one of his family photos months ago when I was still naive enough to think I might meet them someday. Her account was public, And there, among the professional family portraits and artfully arranged holiday decorations, was a series of posts about Christmas preparations. December 18th. So excited for our annual Christmas Eve dinner. Counting down the days until the family's all together. #blessed #family traditions. December 20th. A photo of an elegant table setting with the caption, "Final details coming together. Can't wait to host our loved ones." Special shout out to my wonderful future daughter-in-law for helping with the planning this year. Red heart. December 22nd. A picture of Daniel and Chelsea, her hand on his arm, both smiling at the camera. These two have been working so hard on making this Christmas perfect. Grateful for family in all its forms. I read the captions over and over, each word a small cut. Future daughter-in-law, helping with the planning. And then I noticed something in the background of one photo. A distinctive ornament, a handmade wreath, a specific arrangement of candles on the mantel. Things I recognized because I had spent hours researching them. Things Daniel had shown me pictures of months ago, asking my opinion, letting me help him choose designs and color schemes and menu ideas when his mother complained that Chelsea was too busy with work to help. I scrolled through our old messages, screenshots I'd saved back when I thought we were building something. All those late-night conversations in November. Mom wants a traditional tablescape but modern. What do you think of mixing gold and silver? She's driving me crazy about the dessert menu. Can you look at these options and tell me which sounds better? You're so good at this stuff. Chelsea has no eye for design. Had researched. I had sent him links to table runners and centerpiece ideas. I had helped him plan the entire evening's flow from cocktail hour to dessert because he said he valued my opinion, because I wanted to be useful, because some stupid part of me thought that if I helped enough, proved myself enough, maybe I would matter. I had planned his perfect Christmas. The one he would spend with her. The one I was never invited to. The one where another woman would receive credit for work I had done for free, out of love, out of desperation to be seen. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the water stain on my ceiling and felt something shift inside me. Not rage exactly. Something colder. Something that felt like clarity. The next morning I did something I hadn't done in months. I texted him. "Hey, I know this is out of the blue, but I found some of your things at my place. A book, a watch, a few other items. Want me to drop them off?" He responded within an hour. "Oh wow, yes. I've been looking for that watch. Are you around tomorrow?" We met at a coffee shop halfway between his condo and my apartment. Neutral territory. He looked the same, clean-shaven, expensive coat, that smile that used to make me feel chosen. Now it just looked practiced. "Thanks for reaching out," he said, taking the bag I'd prepared. "I appreciate it. I know things ended weird." "They did," I said. "But it's fine. I'm fine." He shifted in his seat, uncomfortable. "I'm glad. I hope you're doing well. Christmas plans. Working mostly. You. Family thing. Same as every year." He looked almost guilty, which should have felt satisfying but mostly just felt sad. I stirred my coffee. "Actually, I wanted to ask you something. About that." He tensed, subtle but visible. "Your mom's Christmas Eve dinner. The one you planned with Chelsea." His face did something complicated. "Yeah. Just curious. Did you ever mention to your family that I helped plan it? That you spent weeks asking me for ideas, having me research vendors and design concepts, that kind of thing?" The silence was loud. Or did Chelsea just take credit for it? I kept my voice light, conversational, like we were discussing the weather. "It wasn't like that," he said, but his voice was thin. "I mean, yeah, you gave me some suggestions, but 8 weeks of suggestions." I pulled out my phone, opened our old message thread, the one I hadn't deleted because some part of me knew I would need it. Tablescapes, menu planning, music selection, timeline coordination, seating arrangements. Want me to read them? Why are you doing this? He looked around, worried someone might overhear. "I'm not doing anything," I said. "I'm just curious if your mom knows." Chelsea knows. If any of them know that the perfect Christmas they're so excited about came from someone you deemed not good enough to actually attend it. His jaw tightened. "You're being unfair." "Am I? What do you want?" "An apology." "Fine. I'm sorry I asked for your help. I'm sorry things didn't work out between us." "Is that what you need to hear?" I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing. No anger, no longing, no regret. Just a strange, distant pity. "I don't need anything from you," I said. "I just wanted to see if you'd tell the truth." I stood up, leaving my coffee half finished. "Wait," he said. "Are you going to tell someone?" "My family." Pause. "Why would I do that?" "I don't know. You seem—" He struggled for the word. "Upset." I smiled, and it felt genuine for the first time in months. "I'm not upset, Daniel. I'm disappointed. There's a difference." I walked out of the coffee shop into the cold December air. Behind me I heard him call my name, but I didn't turn around. There was nothing left to say. That night I didn't text his mother. I didn't expose him to his family. I didn't craft some elaborate reveal or revenge plot. Instead, I did something simpler. I deleted every screenshot, every message, every piece of evidence that I'd ever helped him. I deleted the photos from when I thought we were happy. I unfollowed his mother's account. I blocked his number for real this time, permanently, no exceptions. And then I sat down at my tiny kitchen table and made a list of things I wanted for myself. Not things I wanted from someone else, not validation or recognition or love. Just things that were mine. Take a ceramics class. Visit my mother's grave without crying. Save enough for a security deposit on a one-bedroom. Learn to make croissants at home so I wouldn't have to smell them at work. Read the books on my shelf that I'd bought but never opened because I was always too tired. Small things. Ordinary things. Things that had nothing to do with being chosen by someone who never really saw me. Christmas Eve came. I worked the morning shift at the bakery, came home, took a long shower and made myself dinner. Pasta with olive oil and garlic, simple and warm. I ate slowly, tasting every bite. And then I watched a movie I'd been meaning to see for years. Around 9 p.m. my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "This is Daniel's mom. He gave me your number. I wanted to reach out personally to tell you about the beautiful job you did helping with tonight's dinner. Daniel finally told me the truth about how much work you put in. I'm embarrassed I didn't know sooner. And I'm sorry you weren't here to see it come together. If you'd like to stop by for dessert and coffee, you'd be more than welcome. We'd love to thank you properly." I read it 3 times. Then I turned off my phone. I didn't need her thank you. I didn't need her pity or her guilty hospitality. I didn't need to stand in Daniel's family home and smile politely while Chelsea wore the credit for my work like a borrowed dress. What I needed, I realized, was already here. In this small apartment with the brick wall view. In the quiet evening I'd built for myself. In the fact that I'd survived the heartbreak and kept showing up, kept working, kept moving forward even when it hurt. Daniel had used me. That was true. He had taken my time, my ideas, my heart, and given me nothing in return but the lesson that I was disposable. That was true too. But what he didn't know, what he would never understand, was that I'd been surviving long before I met him. I'd rebuilt myself from nothing once already. After my mother died and my father left, I knew how to endure. I knew how to carry weight that would break softer people. And I knew with absolute certainty that I would be fine. Better than fine. I would be whole. Because the real revenge wasn't in exposing him or embarrassing him or making him feel guilty. The real revenge was this. I would wake up tomorrow and go to work. I would save my money and take my ceramics class. I would build a life that had nothing to do with him. A life where I didn't need to be chosen by someone else to know my worth. He would always be the kind of person who used people and called it practical. Who took generosity and called it helpful. Who broke hearts and called it realistic. And I would always be the kind of person who survived, who rebuilt, who knew the difference between being overlooked and being invaluable. That night, I fell asleep in my own bed, in my own space, with no one beside me and no one's expectations to meet. I dreamed of nothing in particular. And when I woke up on Christmas morning, the sun was streaming through that brick wall window in a way that made it look almost beautiful. I made coffee. I called the shelter where I'd stayed as a teenager and volunteered for the afternoon shift serving Christmas dinner. I wore my favorite sweater, the soft blue one I'd bought at a thrift store and kept for years because it felt like mine in a way that nothing else did. The people at the shelter were tired and grateful and real. A woman about my age with a baby on her hip thanked me 3 times for the extra portion of mashed potatoes. A man with weathered hands and kind eyes asked if I was doing okay because I looked like I needed the hug as much as he did. And he was right. I did need the hug. I needed the reminder that kindness existed without transaction, that service could be its own reward, that there were ways to matter that had nothing to do with being chosen by people who couldn't see past their own narrow world. When I left that evening, walking through the December cold toward the bus stop, My phone was still off. I had no idea if Daniel's family was still celebrating, if he felt guilty, if Chelsea knew the truth. I had no idea, and I realized with something like relief that I didn't care. The bus was nearly empty. I sat by the window and watched the city lights blur past. All those homes with all those lives, all that love and pain and ordinary magic happening simultaneously in the dark. I thought about my mother, who had survived poverty and illness and single parenthood until she couldn't anymore. I thought about the years I'd spent believing I needed to earn love, to prove I deserved space in someone else's life. And I thought about the girl I'd been 8 months ago, desperate to be seen by a man who had always looked right through her. She felt like a stranger now. Someone I'd known once, someone I'd outgrown. The revenge I'd wanted, the confrontation, the exposure, the moment where he would realize what he'd lost. None of it mattered anymore. Because the truth was simpler and more powerful than any revenge plot. He hadn't lost me. I had gained myself back. I had planned his perfect Christmas. That was true. But I had never been part of it. That was also true. And somewhere in the space between those truths, I had learned the most important lesson of all. My worth was never determined by who chose to see it. It existed whether or not anyone acknowledged it. It existed because I said it did, because I showed up for myself the way I'd once shown up for him. With care, with effort, with attention to detail and stubborn hope. When I got home that night, I turned my phone back on. There were 3 more messages from Daniel's mother, each one more insistent. There was one from Daniel himself. Please just tell me you're okay. I deleted them all without responding. Then I sat at my kitchen table and added one more item to my list. Trust myself more than I trust other people's opinions of me. I underlined it twice. Outside, the city continued its ordinary rhythms. People celebrated or worked or slept. Life went on in its messy, complicated, beautiful way. And for the first time in months, I felt like I was part of it. Not as someone's convenience or project or secret, but as myself. Whole. Surviving. Free. That was enough. That was everything.